necessary to make all of the amazing, cool technology pieces, come to life. Next slide, please. So one of the really interesting things that we're doing, and this ties back into some of the commerce and how we want to open things up to the world. We're basically going to be treating location like domain names and giving people the ability to go in, claim a location, little hexagon, pay $1, $2, or whatever, and you basically have control and ownership over that location for like 2 years, and then you'll pay a small renewal fee. What's amazing though is again, we treat it like a domain name, so you can turn around and sell it to somebody else for whatever you want, or you can kind of hang on to it. But anytime a brand comes in and says, "Hey, this is amazing. We're going to do this huge experience here. We're going to throw down 3D Starbucks coffee cups and Nike shoes and wherever all over the place." When a brand or an advertiser or a content creator comes in and does a paid content placement, whoever owns that location is going to get a revenue share from us, and we can pay that in BSV, which is super awesome, or some other sort of method. So this basically kind of democratizes the idea of ownership of a location and lets people, have a sense of ownership, have a sense of participation, and it creates a way for people to, make additional money by grabbing these locations. Whether you're a business and you want to control your digital airspace, or maybe you're a young web developer and you want to go and grab your local mall and then provide services to all of the businesses there to help them manage their digital twin space, or to kind of attract other advertisers and paid content, whatever. It's a really nice, it's like a three-way ecosystem that helps monetize things for the businesses, the brands, and the consumers together. And then, of course, there's some other really interesting things that we have here. One of the big problems with the idea of the XR metaverse or whatever is spam or too much content. Nobody wants to see crazy 3D flying pelicans all over the place. So we have some really interesting models built in for content curation and some other things that, again, feed into this overall system to drive monetization, be on chain, and basically ensures that you're only going to see the content that you want and you need to see at any given time. And it's going to be useful, relevant, and contextual. And of course, on chain, and everybody is going to have a nice piece of the pie in terms of the monetization pieces. Next slide, please. So we're talking about a lot of cool future technology, and some of this we've heard about for years. I got my start probably 1992, very early on in VR, and been heavily influenced by all the really cool stuff, Neuromancer and Tron and Ready Player One and Snow Crash. I mean, all the cool stuff. And it's always been 10, 20, 30 years out, like, oh, when's it's going to get here? I'm tired of waiting for the flying cars. But a lot of the technology pieces are here. They're today. It's futuristic, but it's available today. And we're beginning to put all of these pieces together. And now suddenly, we have BSV as kind of that missing component that suddenly makes it feasible and viable to build these amazing things today with this future technology that will give us a better tomorrow. And tomorrow is not 10 or 20 years out. It's months out. It's maybe a year for maybe the cool, glasses or whatever. But all the pieces are there. We're doing it now. We're going to be actually rolling out a lot of this in the next, 6-9 months, a little bit early. Some of the projects we're working on involve some really big Fortune 100 companies, telecoms, some really large venues. We've been in stealth for a while, but we have an amazing team of developers and biz dev guys that have been, working like crazy, laying the foundation and groundwork for a lot of amazing stuff. And I'm really excited to be here at CoinGeek to kind of talk about some of this stuff and really begin sharing it. But it's happening. It's coming very soon. We're extraordinarily excited about it. And this is the perfect event and the perfect time to be talking about it. To it, if we can go to the next slide, we actually have some other fun stuff here. So two things. First, we're going to be giving away an awesome and rare and super hard to find 128 gig Oculus Quest. all you have to do is download the CoinGeek augmented reality and voting app, which we can provide some information on to get you sorted out with. And that's it. Download the app, register with a valid email, and we'll enter you into the drawing. But what's really cool about this app, you're going to have the opportunity to vote on the hackathon, as well as at the end of the day, there's going to be some trivia questions about each of the presenters. And there'll be some prizes there for the right answers. And then once a day, we're going to do some really insane thing here. We're going to basically we're going to turn on an augmented reality feature in the app. We're going to spawn 3D logos of all the gold sponsors, and each one of those logos is directly tied to a small amount of BSV. So turn on your phone and grab them. They're going to be in the room around you, and it'll be immediately deposited into your BSV wallet, which you do need to link when you first start the app, and you'll be able to see it on chain. It's right there, transaction. It's live and it's happening. And this is going to be the first time ever anywhere a 3D object in augmented reality is actually worth real money, real BSV, and you'll be able to see that deposit directly into your wallet. We're really excited about this. It seems a little simple, but the implications are huge. And this is the beginning of a new dawn of information and data and the world around you. And it's all going to be on chain, and it's going to be on the only chain. It's going to be on blockchain SV. And it's gonna be fantastic. I probably had too much coffee, but this is we're really looking forward to what's going to happen in the next year, and also checking out the rest of the amazing stuff at this conference. So I think I'm nearing time.
Yep. Robert, this is Jimmy Nguyen. That is a great presentation. I'm so glad the world finally got to hear about Transmira and Omniscape. I have a few questions for you. You ready? Can I hear?
My audio's out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hopefully ask Robert some questions if he can hear me. If not, we're going to cut to another break. But one of the things I wanted to point out to people who are watching out there on the virtual conference stream is that the 3D objects that he's talking about in the app that you'll see, which represent BSV, are tokens. So they are a creation of tokens in real live usage on the Bitcoin SV network that Transmira and Omniscape have been working on for some time with our conference team to help illustrate the power of this environment to promote sponsors. And Robert actually will be joining us on the Token Solutions panel tomorrow to talk about his perspective of what is needed for tokens from the token issuer's perspective. Robert, can you hear me now?
I can, loud and clear.
Great. So I have a couple of questions for you while we have some time. One is, well, I just mentioned that the objects are tokens. Tell us a little bit, without spilling too much for tomorrow, about your experience of creating these tokens for your application.
Fun story. It was actually my developers, not me. I'm more of a technologist. But from their perspective, it's been very easy. It was very fast. It was actually surprisingly simple. When we first started looking at this, it seemed was going to be a huge nightmare or headache or new technology. But no, it was surprisingly easy and very fast. And when we had our first demo, internally, it was pretty mind-blowing and very exciting to kind of see it. And it kind of took us a little bit to look at and go, my God, we actually just built this and it works and it's really fast. This is huge. And I think we were a little dumbfounded at our own work. It's just very exciting.
So these tokens in the conference app represent small amounts of Bitcoin SV. But as I understand it, you can create virtual items that represent other types of tokens and rights, such as coupons, for example, or other things. What other things can be done with these virtual item tokens?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much anything. One of the ideas that we looked at when we were building this is, again, part of the idea of value or transferability. So in some cases, obviously we can link money to a 3D object, or an offer or a special offer. So for example, I can find a pair of 3D Nikes, whatever, that I can pick up, collect, and then go to a store and redeem and get that discount and have that all tracked. But at the same time too, I can also take that and transfer it to another mode or environment, whether it's AR or VR, or maybe I found it in Fortnite and I'm kind of pulling it out of that game, going somewhere else. So not only can we do money or special offers, but there's also other types of data or other things that we can kind of add there. And the idea is that things should always be transferable. So maybe it's an AI script or a chat bot or some other type of content. Maybe it's a piece of music, but it's unique and it only exists where it's at. So that transferability and that kind of that packaging of things, as a token, I think it's really important to be able to do that. So.
Yeah, which opens up a lot of opportunities for sponsors to engage with this. Here's a question from one of the online audience members, which is, this is very cool. Digital twins are a massive potential for tokenization standards on a global blockchain. So will this be like a HoloLens type environment powered by Bitcoin? Will this be like a HoloLens type environment powered by Bitcoin?
Yes, but not necessarily limited to that wearable display. Because we want to focus on the fundamental pieces of the data, we're basically abstracting things out from the end user device. So whether it's your phone or a tablet or an Oculus Quest or HoloLens or Nreal or any of the other sort of options, or in the future, augmented reality contact lenses. That's all going to happen and it's going to be very cool, but we want to make sure that it's accessible to everybody, regardless of what type of device that you're on. And we basically scale the quality or the density of the 3D stuff. So, HoloLens is great, but it's not going to be required. There's things that you can do right now with just your mobile device.
All right, I'm going to ask you one quick question as we close out the session, which is, how will this be used in a real estate environment to sell land or other physical assets?
So there's two ways there. I've seen some things out there about using smart contracts or tokens, whatever, to help or handle real estate deals in the real world. And I think that that's absolutely going to happen and is certainly doable. From our perspective, because we tend to be focusing more on the AR, VR, XR metaverse sort of thing, we treat the digital side a little bit differently. So we have the digital real estate and we have kind of like a digital airspace. And those are both, I guess, the virtual or the augmented, the data, the information that's linked to that real world physical location. And then, whether for a new development, that might be in terms of conceptual drawings or virtual reality walkthroughs or whatever, or even for an existing place, you can see how it could look like, what it looked like in the past, what it looked like in the future, or even being able to access data and information about, where the wires are in the wall, or this maintenance panel needs to be checked once a day or whatever. So there's an emerging market there where it's really going to be important to look at the stack or the ecosystem of experiences between the physical actual dirt in the ground, whether you're buying it or building on it or there's something already there, all the way through to the VR digital twin side, which is going to contain so much more data, but it'll be accessible and tied to and linked to that location on chain.
Okay, and in 30 seconds, last question, I promise. Can you tell us some of the types of business partners or sponsors you've been talking to?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's we'll be making some announcements in the next several months, but we've been talking to, there's at least three telecoms in terms of their 5G infrastructure. There's an extraordinary amount of interest in obviously 5G and what do we do with it? And with what we're building, it really ties into the idea of an augmented smart city and spatial computing. So there's those guys. There's several sports venues that are very interested, obviously because of COVID and social distancing. They're looking for ways to do fan engagement and create new experiences. And then obviously in esports, there's some education and there's a lot of regular brands. Everybody is trying to figure out, how do we engage with users? How do we, change marketing and advertising to this kind of this experiential sort of thing and have better experiences, better engagement, and help people, connect both with the world around them and with each other in new ways. So, yeah, there's some large brands, game developers, publishers, and of course, like I said, on the telecom side, that's pretty huge.
Fantastic. And you know how I love connecting the world with one global blockchain. So we wish you a ton of luck on Transmira and Omniscape. I hope the audience goes out there and downloads the conference app to participate in this AR experience. Get yourself some Bitcoin SV tokens through the virtual items and support our sponsors and Omniscape. We look forward to hearing more in the future. Thanks, Robert, for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. It's been awesome.
All right. Thank you. And now we get to go to a fun part of our conference, which is connecting the world virtually. Our day one sponsor for the event